which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you for everybody coming for the board meeting this evening. Our mission is to educate, empower, and inspire excellence. We'll start with the student staff presentation. We have the marketing presentation and the good news report by Ms. Devers Lowry.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me tonight to present our upcoming marketing campaign that we are going to be rolling out for the 2019-2020 school year. So right now we are in a time of change. There's a changing landscape of school communications. Last year I attended the National School Public Relations Association National Conference, and they had more attendees last year than they had ever had by far. So more and more districts are starting to put value into marketing and public relations campaigns. As we all know, there are changing views on education. There is school competition, kind of a marketplace going on, so we have to market and brand ourselves. And we are in a time of changing generational makeup and ideologies, where we are seeing more of our parents as Gen X and millennials, which changes some of the needs that they have and the ways that they want to receive communication from their school districts. So we are lucky that we do have some guidance on what we should be doing. So community partnerships is actually part of Future Ready Schools. There's a year that is dedicated to that. So part of that is engagement and outreach with the community, digital learning environments, and global and cultural awareness, which I think we're doing a really great job of through our IT department, through digital learning, our maker spaces, things like that. Parental communication and engagement is very, very much key. You want to make your families feel as though they are part of your school district. And then, of course, having a district brand, which we're going to be talking about in just a little bit. NSPRA, the National School Public Relations Association, also defines several functions of a school PR professional. So I've received a lot of guidance through them over the past year. So someone who serves as a public relations counsel to help people throughout the district with any kind of PR or marketing needs they may have. Communication with both internal and external publics, so with families and staff members. Media relations, sending out things like photos and press releases. Helping to promote budget or bond issues should the need arise. Helping with communications and crisis communications planning through the form of things like handbooks. And then conducting PR research, polls, surveys, and informal research for the district. There's also doing imaging and marketing, essentially branding the school district. Student and staff recognition programs, serving as kind of an information station for the school district and for the city and township as well. Serving as a public relations trainer, so helping others throughout the district learn the importance of good public relations and serving our families in that form. And then serving as a community relations liaison to work with our local organizations that we have here in Portage. So from this, we've learned that there are several things that we're doing. This is kind of what I like to say, counting the toilet paper rolls, if you will, making sure that the district had everything that it needed this year, and these were the things that we focused on. So having a monthly district-wide newsletter for family and community members, we've been doing that, and our community members have been very, very receptive to it. We have a good, robust social media presence. We have over 6,200 followers on our Facebook page, which is great. That's where the majority of our families are at, like our parents. Twitter is significantly less at about 500, but I think that's because that's where students like to hang out. We have a school messenger system that is widely used for all calls, emails. There's a new text messaging service that's available through School Messenger now, where you can send kind of short 160-character text messages to parents. Our digital signs and marquees help reinforce information that's good for nice, quick reminders and clips of information. The media receives notice and coverage of events through press releases and photos. And community organizations have a person that they can turn to if they need to contact somebody in the organization in Portage Township Schools, or if they need just a little bit of information. It's been kind of a nice nice way for me to make sure that people who need information can get what they need. So all of that is fantastic. And I think it's great, but we're ready to kind of take that next step and move on to the next level. So I'm proposing a marketing project for this coming year called the Our Portage Project. Bringing a sense of community into Portage Township schools, letting everybody know that really together we do educate our kids, together we excel. So some of the things that are going to be included as part of that project include district-wide communications handbook, which is going to serve as kind of a training guide that all staff members will have. A district-wide staff recognition program, and I'll go into all these in a little more detail. Increased presence with community groups, starting and launching the Portage Ambassadors program. Starting Portrait of a Graduate, which has been an awesome experience. The interns really worked hard on that aspect of this, and also rebranding Portage Township Schools. And then we'll be using a new hashtag on social media, which is #OurPortage. So the communications guidebook that we are working on will be distributed to all district employees digitally, so there will be no printing on that. And it will provide training on a number of things such as proper school messenger use, ways to engage families, crisis communications. There will also be a branding guide that will be part of this that'll show people this is what Portage Red looks like, these are the fonts that we use. I'm getting very specific and nitpicky with it, so, and then it'll have the logo in it as well. Our staff recognition program, I felt like it was important to have a good program that recognizes our staff for the hard work that they do for us. So every month employees will have the opportunity to fill out a digital nomination form. One employee will be selected from each department as the monthly employee of the month. One winner per department each month, one employee selected then as employee of the year at the end of the school year, and all winners will be recognized in newsletters and on social media. We're going to further our community outreach. I want to keep reaching out to all those awesome community organizations that help us out, make sure that they get all the information that they possibly can get about Portage Township Schools. I recently hosted a realtors breakfast, which went very well. They ended up inviting me to their monthly meeting that brought in all of the realtors. Macaulay up on 6th did this, and there were about 25 realtors there, and I was able to hand out folders with promotional materials, talk to them about the great things going on in Portage. It was a fantastic experience. They appreciate it. They have my business cards. They know that if they have questions, they can call me. If they have potential buyers with a question, they can call me. So that's been a great connection, and they want to keep building that throughout the next year. Portage Ambassadors will start next year as well. So I'm gathering the names of family members throughout Portage Township Schools from our principals, and the ambassadors will be kind of a small group, maybe about 20 to 25 parents. And we'll meet once a month to discuss various school topics such as financing schools, what is future ready schools, what are high reliability schools, what does our food service department do, what are some of the things we have to think about nutrition wise with our kids, school safety, things of that nature. So really giving them a good picture, almost kind of like a citizens academy of what we're doing here at Portage. Again, we'll be launching Portrait of a Graduate. The interns worked very hard, very tirelessly on this past year. So what they did was they worked with community members and PTS staff to develop the soft skills that they feel students need by the time they graduate. So they've been talking to community members, teachers, other students, really gathering a lot of feedback from people. And Portrait of a Graduate is a free online program that helps walk you through those steps of how to come to a conclusion and how to put together a really awesome presentation for your community. So they've developed posters that we'll distribute to all schools, and then we'll have the option that schools can order additional materials such as banners, posters, whatever they need through the print shop. And then we'll have an option where local businesses and organizations can take what we call the Our Portage Promise. So this is what the kind of informational sheet looks like that will go out to all of our staff members. And it explains each of the 4 parts. There's 4 parts to the Our Portage Promise. We want to make sure that our students are healthy, responsible, mindful, and innovative. And you'll see that it kind of builds upon each other according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Whereas kids have to be healthy first and foremost. Then if they're healthy, they can be responsible. If they're responsible, they can be mindful. If they're mindful, they can be innovative. So this will go out to all of our staff and school leaders. These will be posters that we will print and put in all of the classrooms throughout Portage and all of our buildings. And then this is the poster that we will give to our community organizations where they can take the Our Portage Promise. And Mr. Milletta, I hope you don't mind, I use the Portage Economic Development Corporation as a staple here. So where they can promise that they will also uphold these values and be good role models for our students while they're in the community as well. So we went through a logo redesign this year. As you've probably heard, there were lots of different logos that we went through. We redesigned it many times. You've heard the shark fin story where we designed a logo and my kid said, "Yves, that looks like a shark fin." I said, okay, back to the drawing board. So we looked, we talked, we presented it to people, we went back to the drawing board many times, and what we really did was we had to sit down, we had to say, what defines Portage Township Schools? If we had to put it together in a theme. So this was kind of what we learned. Portage is a large community, but it has a small town feel to it. As we all know, we're located near Lake Michigan, which brings about a lot of industry for us and a lot of resources. Our staff really takes a personal interest in the learning of our kids and the well-being of our kids. They care about our kids very much. Our families want to know that their children will be cared for emotionally, physically, and academically. So our families also take a lot of stake in what we do here. Our district embraces 21st century learning, and we offer a vast array of opportunities for our students. We also know that our students excel in local, national, and global markets. And we also know that while the community embraces these traditions that we have and the history of Portage, they also want to know that we are preparing them for today's workplaces. So this is the logo that I am proposing that I would like for you to vote on tonight. And just to go into a little bit of detail on this logo, it is a content-driven design. So the chevron pattern that you see there is based on the end of the arrow, so that links us to that tradition that we have at Portage Township Schools. It is purposefully pointing to the right to show forward progress. It has a sleek modern design that represents the forward-thinking education that our students receive. The varsity P on the logo maintains that history and tradition that we are all connected to. And then we wanted to make sure that we got 3 colors in there because we wanted it to represent the education, or educating, empowering, and inspiring excellence. Excuse me. We will be, and it's only a slight difference, but we will be incorporating a new Portage red into the design. It's a little bit darker, deeper red, but it's a little bit more of a modern color. Sometimes when you use the old red in various forms, such as print versus digital, it came out a little bit orange or a little bit pink. So this tends to be represented a little bit better across all platforms. So the way I'm proposing to roll out this new logo is that it will take effect upon your approval. Materials with the previous logo will be phased out. So I'm not going to tell anybody to take anything that has the current logo on it and throw it in the garbage can. Let's use it up and then start putting the new logo on it. We'll replace posters such as these off to the side that have the vision statement, mission statement, the district goals. That'll be one of the first things that we do in addition to pushing this out to the public. And then, as I said before, including a branding guide as part of the district communications guidebook. We'll be mandating that all district level materials contain that PTS logo. That's going to be part of that branding. That's very important to get that new logo out there and that new look and that new message. All departments will receive new letterheads that have that logo on it as well, so that it is consistent, it's uniform. We know that it came from Portage Township Schools. We'll also open an online store where stakeholders can go to purchase merchandise. And talking to a lot of our community members and a lot of our staff members too, they want just Portage material, not necessarily something that has to do with a club or something that has to do with a particular school, but something that just says Portage that we need. And to kind of kick things off at the beginning of the school year, I would like for a group of students to model this apparel with the new logo at the all-staff meeting in August. So the next steps here are to unveil the logo to the public and district employees. I will distribute the communications guidebook and develop these print marketing materials. Some things such as retractable banners are really nice. Those are nice because you can pick those up, you can take them places. They're kind of impressive looking, and they're great to put up at a variety of types of events throughout the district. I'd like to create Portage preview folders, which is kind of what I've been handing out already, but do some nice cardstock with it. Just have folders that we can put information in to be able to hand out to people very readily, and then create some quote unquote swag such as pens, pads of paper, keychain, shirts, jackets, all those things that people like. So that's my presentation. I'd like to thank you guys very much for the opportunity to put this before you. And I will also give the good news report. I had one of my interns scheduled. She is ill today, so as it always works out.
I got a couple questions. Can I just?
Sure,
ask?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Sure, please. Yeah.
So our Portage Promise, I love that.
Thank you.
And I think the way you did that with other community organizations, will we have that for our employees to sign too?
Absolutely.
I think that would be really important to have a version of that all the employees can sign.
I think it'd be great to have them sign it and put it in like a larger frame to post by the entryway so that parents come in and they see
Yeah,
it.
maybe every teacher ought to have one in their classroom that they
Yes.
sign.
Absolutely.
It's just as a good reminder to people. The ambassador program, that was the thing, I actually brought that back from one of the ISBAs or NSBA, one of those. Your presentation said that it'll be made up of parents. If you remember that ambassador program, they said one thing they found was it needed to be more than just parents. Out of those like 20 people, it ought to be, a couple people from the business community, just
Yes.
some other leaders in the community.
I think that's a great
Each
idea.
each year, so not just parents, but other people that, like, again, leaders, it might be somebody from one of, like, Monosol might have somebody that they want to send, some of the companies and like that
And they don't have to live in Portage.
don't have to live in Portage,
And the
no.
majority were community.
Yeah,
The presentation, yes.
yeah, so I just want to make sure that,
Absolutely. Anybody
if
who's
you go back and look at that and
Portage.
think about that,
Absolutely.
it's got that mix, because the purpose of this are people like, well, to do what you're doing, spread that good news,
Yes.
be able to talk about knowledgeably about things that are going on in the school. So to have a good mix of those people, I think would be important. And then lastly, I love the logo. I mean, I think that's awesome. I mean, when I first looked at it, I didn't really think about it, and I caught the arrow right away, which
Good.
I think was good.
Yes.
But from a marketing standpoint, I love the consistency. I think it's important that, like you said, you're a sticker on the fonts and things throughout the district. How will it, because you got new red, how will this relate to other departments, such as the athletic department or maybe the music department? Will they all be adopting some form of this logo with their logos? Will they be using the new red on their materials and uniforms? I mean, for that consistency?
Yes,
That's the idea?
absolutely. That is the idea, yeah. And it does take some time to have something like this take effect within the district. And, as I said, I don't want everybody to just go out and throw everything away and we're buying brand new uniforms or anything like that. But it is something that we are going to be incorporating from this point on.
Okay, good. So it's hard to get people, I mean, so that's gonna be a difficult thing because people want to do their own thing. a lot of
The
times.
interesting thing is athletics and the music department have both reached out to Melissa saying, our students are no longer connected to, for instance, the Pride of Portage with the marching band as the name. The
Right.
students have decided there's a new name that they want to incorporate that includes something with the steel industry in our area. So our kids are pushing us as the adults to think forward about the rebranding.
That's great.
And because of that, I know we've had meetings with Mr. Timmerman, who had specifically brought that up, and then also athletics has said, we're open to some suggestions, and I think it's been with the year of seeing how when those communications pieces come out and they're so much more visually appealing, people are noticing. So I agree, it is definitely a process. So far, it seems to be very much open, and everyone is to the point now they know that internally, everything has to run through the interns and the assistant principal. Every publication, every post, every, whether it be a newsletter, a flyer, and now with it going through Peach Jar, it's just a natural flow because that's how their communication is getting out.
Yeah, so that consistency of message is extremely important in marketing.
I agree.
love the online store. I think that's a great idea. I think that's something we should have. Because I get people all the time asking, where do you get it? And I always just say, well, go to a place in the mall, or your wife, you can get something, but I think it's great to have that online store. And I think that pledge, I love that pledge. I just think that's so cool. I mean, I would like, even, you know, if we're gonna redo our scoreboard and our football field, somewhere have our pledge out there where our other community members and other schools that come in can see that too in the gym. I mean, I just think it'd be really good to have that, some form of that or some presence of that around it and everything. So I think it's a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good job. I have a couple questions too, and a little bit off of what Andy was talking about. Well, we do have digital signs that we can jump to.
Absolutely.
So we have two, right?
We have 2 large ones, and then we have a smaller digital one at Sailor.
So when we're looking at external stakeholders to be our ambassadors, because obviously they're not internal stakeholders, we have to be broad in perspective when we do that, and we have to look at the benefit for PTS, for the ambassador program, like Mr. Letter was talking about. And when we went out and looked at different school districts and what they're doing with building or just, you know, innovation or labs or, you know, these type of things, what I know that I have seen is that the external stakeholders, such as the businesses, they put their names on it and then they actually donate back. And I think it's going to be a win-win solution if we do put them on immediately, because we might be looking at something like that in the future for them to be able to put their names on. And when we're looking at external stakeholders, we have to be reminded they might not necessarily have to have a physical location in BTS, such as NIPSCO. Correct. So, you know, that type of thing that are part of us. And the perfect example was NIPSCO did one where it was actually a bicycle that students could ride, and then they had just different types of lights, you know, a fluorescent light bulb, a regular light bulb, LED, all different tape, and depending on how fast the bike went, you know, the light bulb lit up, and then they had their NIPSCO brand, and, you know, or something like Port Memorial Hospital, I know that they had like a blow up heart chamber and you could walk through it, you know, they have their logos. So it's very, very important that we do get that so we can have a vested interest with them. And then also, I have a question as far as the budget. What's the budget for the rollout plan for the logo? Because I seen some cost in there.
Absolutely. We are currently working with Mr. Grant on that, with our finance director, Mr. Grant.
Yes, we actually have a meeting set to determine a budget.
Okay.
Because previously, the Department of Marketing didn't exist and we didn't have a budget. So as this came about, that was the first thing that, we're gonna need a budget.
Yeah.
So, and I will be sure to bring that to.
I would like to see budget
Yes.
before I go down the logo.
Okay.
I mean, I just think that it's important. I'd like to know, what that's gonna cost us. Sure. You know, there has to be a cost to that. The online store, as far as those who are going to be producing the merchandise for the online store, do you know who's going to be producing the merchandise?
I have been speaking with a number of individuals, including our print shop. Our print shop does not have an online option yet, but Blythe's out of Valpo does, and so does Portage Custom Wear here in Portage, which is a former student of our print shop. So
I prefer to see us use some of the local.
Yes, I do too, and it's very
No,
important.
Blythe's done a lot, does a lot of work for it.
Yes.
I'd really rather see us use local guy if we could.
And Portage Custom Shop has been working very closely.
they've been fantastic.
Yes.
Didn't they also do the plaque?
They did
They
the
did
Rocket
our
Fest and
And here's the issue with.
I like to see athletics use them more too.
Yes, and
Throw that out there.
that is a problem, because with the athletic department, they do have the online store. And for the gym clothes and those type of things, and even the form that they have been sending out, you know, to parents, did not have Portage Custom on there. And this is something that the board brought up before, and it's very important. And I understand that there's somebody who's, what's the connection to Blythe? What was the rationale for?
But so what's his name? Our rep is a former Portage student.
And I get that, and I understand that, but they don't pay taxes into our school district. That's important. And here's the other issue that was brought
And
up.
Brandon's a former Portage student, he operates
Yes.
a business in Portage.
yes.
And
He's
he,
capable of doing all the same things.
Yes.
And he can't compete possibly with Lice's prices because he's smaller, but at the same time, he's vested in different Portage Township, so I do think that's important. So is the store gonna be profitable?
That is something that we can talk about. We've had some discussions about different school organizations using that as possible fundraisers for their own organizations, because that's really a great way for them to make some extra fundraising dollars to help support their programs. So that is something that we are working out the details on, yes.
So can we look at it from the IASBO as opposed to maybe that goes into the marketing budget?
Yes, we've actually talked about
So
some
that
things
it's,
like that, such as a
that's
pop-up
what it is.
shop even,
Yes.
that would then generate
Zero
dollars for the marketing. And students run that as a student enterprise, and so we're looking at this on a very large scale of how to engage our students in a true business plan, from the various departments to include marketing department, business department. And yes, we will absolutely use IASBO as that model. And we'll bring that all before the board before moving forward on that. I think you guys having, that's what's great about the representation of the board, the various experiences you all have bring an additional lens to the table when we're trying to think of these things, and making sure our students get the educational opportunities to have authentic learning through creating these things and, doing their homework and research, but the feedback is, again, part of that authentic piece that they need.
And if it was presented in a rollout plan, all of these things would have been presented. And if we start doing that concept, bringing issue, if we do concepts or anything that we're gonna be spending a lot of money for it as a rollout plan, then we know the stakeholders who's responsible, we got timelines, we got a budget, we know everything about this, so that we don't have to ask questions, when it comes up. So we get a rollout plan also with the local company, nicer, just with marketing. So I'd like to see that as opposed to, everybody trying to fight for a certain little bit of pool of money, who's gonna get it, what percentage is gonna go where, if we could just. And then the last thing I want to ask is the flyers. As a business owner, I constantly get information from want to donate, and it's constant on my Facebook page or my page. A lot of times I have to send to Amanda, is this PTS? Well, how do I
Yes.
know? Yes, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I shouldn't have to guess. It should just be point blank, yes, this is a PTS sponsored event, or what I'm saying, something like that. And they
Absolutely.
all need to say the same thing if they're gonna be asking for donations, and they don't.
And that's the beauty of having all of those letterheads that have been created by one person, sent out to the entire district and said, this is your letterhead, use it for these purposes. That way I know where it comes from, because I've had a couple of situations where I've seen things on social media and I had to kind of guess, and I had to contact people and double check on it, make sure that it was okay. And it was, thankfully, but this makes it a lot easier because then you have that logo, you have that brand, it's recognizable, you know where it came from.
So then how about when somebody's asking for a donation and then they say, do you wanna click on what's that called where you donate?
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe.
We don't do any GoFundMe.
We do. Yes, we do. So we need to look at that also.
That are district ones?
Yes, that are district ones.
You got teachers.
District. No, but I'm just talking about,
On behalf of different organizations. Okay,
and I can let you know.
Okay.
yes.
Because that was, you could either write a check or you go to this GoFundMe page and I'm like, I told you. That was odd. I said, why would you do a GoFundMe? But maybe not.
Yeah, we can get a handle on those for sure.
And I know that they've also worked, which I think is helpful, and maybe this would also be good to put on our website. When we do have that all in order, you will know that this is a flyer from PTS if it has this. The same for, I know you went through and marked with a seal all of our social media sites for each school so that people know it's the authentic site. Maybe we put that information there too. If you see this seal in the logo, you know
You see
it's
this,
the
you know
authentic.
it's us.
Yes,
Yes.
because the students were doing a lot of research through their coursework and finding a abundance of pages that say Portage Township Schools this, and it was nothing that was truly a Portage Township Schools. And they started, it's amazing.
And then I do want to ask another question too, and it's about our Portage Promise and about what our graduates, the portrait of a graduate. And it's just to address all of our students and just to support them in general. Everyone is not going to be able to read what we have, so maybe some visual aids to be able to support our kids. Maybe something showing what healthy looks like, what responsible looks like, what mindful looks like, what being innovative looks like. Just to be able to support the younger students, because that's gonna be very important so that they know what that looks like as they connect to, getting into middle school and then becoming a high schooler. I just wanted to say that.
Yes, I agree with that, and that's a conversation I've been having with a lot of the elementary principals and middle school principals about some of the wording and phrasing and altering that to fit those younger audiences.
Yes, absolutely, because I can see right now, innovative,
And that's also great when you go to preschools.
Yes.
That will be good to get the promise done with our preschools as you've been working with them, and then get the promise and then that visual.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yes.
And then are we gonna have it in different languages, it just would be.
Yes,
Definitely.
absolutely.
Well, they're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you very much. We worked very hard on it. The interns did a lot of the legwork here.
That's
They
not
did
a
great.
Well, the great thing is now without voting on this, the good news is then when they're all back for the school year, then you'll have the rollout plan. Let's have them present the rollout plan. Let's have them be here for that vote of the board.
Yes.
Can you wait that long?
I
I mean,
can.
I know you seem like you're kind of
I'm
anxious to
excited.
start rolling this stuff out.
Just to get it
Yeah,
out.
that was gonna be my question, how would that move you up if you don't vote on it?
I don't think that it would. I can start getting some materials at least ready to print, and then when, upon your approval, we can just kind of hit the green button.
Yeah.
And go.
Already with it, we can vote on part of it.
Well, if you need to, we can vote on the logo.
Okay, I think that would be
Get a
helpful.
budget and a rollout plan.
Yes.
Yeah,
with-
which you get to us by that meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's good with the logo.
Yeah,
Our
I
message.
think the logo part, we should,
That's what I'm.
so she can move forward with that.
And I do know that the board has expressed, when Mrs. Severslawi first came to me, how attached are people to the logo? And I said, I think you're good.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
wonderful refresh.
I think so too. Much needed, better representation of what our district is and what we do here. So, you're welcome.
Can I just ask one thing, if you wouldn't mind, could you pull up your early college logo? Real quickly?
That one, we
Or is
had
it under
to-
construction
It
again?
is under
Okay,
construction
okay,
again, yeah, we
okay.
did have to redo
That's
that
okay.
one, yes.
Okay.
And so for elementary students in preschool, if we can have, visuals for them of children in different, looking different.
In the diversity.
Yeah, representation of diversity, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Good news report? Okay. So our elementary students have had a great time at our first STEM Champs Camp, which wrapped up its 2-week run this past Thursday. Students participated in a number of challenges while learning valuable science, technology, engineering, and math skills. Thank you to Mr. DiPasquale and our awesome teachers for hosting the camp for our students. And they did do a number of really great challenges, like they did an egg drop, they had a Sphero challenge, all different kinds of things, so it was really neat for them. Students have been learning and having fun at our Summer of Fun Enrichment Camps. Teachers have been offering a variety of camps, including art in the outdoors, animal adventure, space camp, budding authors, which is a creative writing camp, and more. This week is session 4 of the program, with camps taking place through August 1st. The Exchange Club of Portage rededicated the Freedom Shrine located at Portage High School West. The Freedom Shrine honors our American history and those who serve to protect our freedoms. In addition to many Exchange Club members, PHS Principal Mike Stills and our MCJROTC directors attended the ceremony. Thank you to the Exchange Club for rededicating this important piece of Portage High School West. And we have some upcoming events. The next mobile marketplace will take place on July 11th at Portage High School Dorm A. The Portabots Robotics Camp is this week at Portage High School West from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And of course, families are still welcome to sign up for our summer enrichment camps. Session 5 begins Monday, July 1st. And that is our very brief season good news report. Thank you.
If I may, I know the board has been extremely appreciative of Mrs. Deeper-Bowie and her work with our interns, and again, the Realtors Breakfast has been a huge success. The outreach to the various community organizations, I know she's went not only throughout Portage and Portage Township, but also into Ogden Dunes and hosted some things. So I very much appreciate that, and we're so grateful. And just to mention to the board, Mr. and Mrs. Devers are here just to watch the presentation tonight. So,
How are you?
I have appreciated, first of all, Mrs. Devers was my fourth grade teacher, but when we've had some of the logos going around, she's even given us honest feedback when it wasn't anything that spoke to her. So, yes, so, again, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you for being here to support your daughter. That's a great job.
Awesome.
Next, agenda adjustments. Does the board or superintendent have any adjustments to the agenda? No, hearing none, we'll move on then to the superintendent's consent agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the personnel report for June 24th, 2019, the donations report for June 24th, 2019, the claims report for June 24th, 2019, and the facility use request report. We have a second, please.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Trustee Quincy?
Yes.
Trustee Philly?
Yes.
Trustee Vasquez, yes. Trustee Maleta?
Yes.
Trustee
Yes. Next, we'll move on to the board consent agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of May 20th, 2019, the minutes of the executive session of June 6th, 2019, the minutes of the special board meeting of June 10th, 2019, and the minutes of the discussion meeting of June 10th, 2019. Second. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Clancy?
Yes.
Trustee Philly?
Yes.
Trustee Vasquez, yes. Trustee Maleta?
Yes.
Trustee Richard?
Yes. We'll move on to board development and committee reports. We'll start with finance with trustee Clancy and trustee Maleta.
I don't have much of an update at this time. We haven't had a finance meeting recently.
August.
Okay.
Trustee Maleta, Park Department, Buildings, Grounds, and Innovation.
Nothing with building grounds and innovation, park department, kind of a cool thing. We had the last park board meeting, a young man, a Boy Scout, actually from Crown Point, who one of his things that they have to do to earn their badges came to Imagination Glen Park to the Outback Trail, which is the really rugged one for the bikes, and came in with the design of a project to build a changing room. Because I guess there's an issue there with a lot of those riders that come straight from work. They want to change their clothes and then they can get on their bikes and do their thing. So he not only designed it, he met with the group that kind of runs that Outback Trail, and they constructed a changing room back down in the trail, which was kind of cool. A really neat project. Parks have had a lot of problems, just like everybody else has with rain this year. Their softball leagues are a disaster because the fields have been flooded. Most of the spring there are up and going now, but it's been a real challenge. So from that standpoint, they've some of their activities are declined this year compared to past years. On the other end of the spectrum, the rentals are way up this year on all the buildings in the park. So they're, that's piece of it, done a really nice job of having facilities looking good and operating well. So, but the weather is definitely, like it has a lot of people, a lot of places, is really hurt the parks an awful lot. It's, I can say some of the leagues, etc. And that's it. That's all I got.
The skate park.
There's still discussion on the skate park. The board president, Jeff Beach, is kind of the guy who's working with that organization. We found the location. I think they kind of decided on a location, but now it's just a matter of the city finding funding. And, we're going to change of administration, so you got different people, different ideas now. So I think Jeff will probably stay on that, whoever or whatever happens after January. I think probably take a higher year.
So we have baseball fields. Are ours flooded?
I have, as a matter of fact, my daughters both practice at fields in our district and they've been doing well.
So that's something to think about.
Yeah.
That you didn't have to wait, you can use ours. So we use.
But for softball, it's a little different than using, yeah, just different baselines.
It's different.
Yeah, it really doesn't work for softball.
So there, we don't have any softball.
We just have, practice fields. That's what
Oh,
we
I
have.
see.
Yeah.
So that's different. We don't have anything with whatever those regulations would be.
Yeah, and for the, and these leagues, it's just hard. We literally going through the same thing this year. It's a brutal year for, and it rains every day, certainly.
Thank you. Now for my legislative, I do have the legislative report. It's a larger one, but the meeting's kind of light today, but we also probably have a federal flash. Show that, please.
Passed legislation protecting dreamers. Legislation was introduced in support of middle schools, and new data was released on the implementation of the Every Student Succeeds Act. Hi, I'm Philip Lovell, and I'm joined by Lindsay Dworkin. Let's begin with the dreamers. Lindsay?
Thanks, Philip. On Tuesday, the House of Representatives passed the American Dream and Promise Act by a vote of 237 to 187. 7 Republicans joined all Democrats present for the vote in supporting the measure. The legislation would provide a path to citizenship for undocumented young people who have been in the United States for at least 4 years and meet certain requirements, such as being enrolled in high school or admitted to college. After living in the U.S. for 10 years, dreamers would gain permanent resident status if they have worked for at least 3 years, have completed at least 2 years of higher education, or completed at least 2 years in the military.
The bill is good news for those jeopardized by President Trump's decision to cancel DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. But good news is not legal certainty. The Senate would need to pass and the President would need to sign the American Dream and Promise Act in order for it to become law. This seems unlikely. The White House threatened to veto the bill, saying the legislation, quote, would only exacerbate illegal immigration and the exploitation of our immigration laws. While the legislation tries to make its way through Congress, DACA is on life support in the courts and may be taken up by the Supreme Court in the coming weeks.
Also on Tuesday, Representative Raul Grijalva and the U.S. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse introduced the Success in the Middle Act. The bill would provide new funding for middle schools to identify and implement best practices to improve student outcomes and increase high school graduation rates. Upon introducing the legislation, Representative Grijalva said, quote, despite success in the middle school years being one of the most pivotal indicators of future success and achievement, middle grade education remains grossly underfunded in school districts across the country.
Here at the Alliance for Excellent Education, we've documented the chronic underfunding of the middle grades at the federal level. As you can see in this chart, there's a striking difference in the level of funding provided to middle and high schools compared to early childhood and higher education. The Success in the Middle Act aims to address this gap in support and funding for middle schools. All for Ed President Deb DeLisle praised the legislation, saying that the middle grades are an absolutely critical time for ensuring that every child develops the knowledge and skills needed for future success in high school and beyond.
And off Capitol Hill, the Center on Education Policy released new data on the implementation of the Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA. Under the new federal law, states are required to identify 3 categories of low-performing schools for support. The lowest performing 5% of Title I schools and high schools with graduation rates below 67% are identified for comprehensive support and improvement. In addition, schools are identified for targeted support and improvement, or additional targeted support and improvement, based upon the performance of historically underserved students.
The CEP report found tremendous variability across states in the percentages of schools identified for support. 8 states have identified more than half of their schools for support, whereas 13 states have identified 10% or less of their schools. The full report, including state-by-state data, is available at the link below.
That's all for today. For an email alert when the next federal flash is available, email
So I'm gonna give the report for the, what happened in the state legislature, this last session. So a new 2-year state budget that commits $763 million in total for new money for K through 12 education. And 52 new laws were passed for education. Obviously, I don't have time to go through every one of them, but I
Can you get to the top 25?
So overall, the budget provides a 4.5 percentage increase in state education funds each of the next 2 years. The tuition support formula increase is 2.5% each year. And when coupled with the resources made available from the unfunded liability buy-down of the post-1996 teacher retirement fund and the increased funds from the teacher appreciation grants, that's where that's where they get the number of the 4.5% increase. And just keep in mind that Indiana ranks 36 in the United States per pupil spending. So school corporation expenditure targets, this is a bill. Schools must specify in its proposed budget the anticipated amount it will transfer from its education fund to its operations fund during the budgeted year, and requires the acknowledgement of it at its budget hearing of whether it will transfer more than 15% from its education fund to its operational fund. School safety, another bill. Indiana Safe School Fund may not be used to provide grants to employ a SRO. However, Indiana Secured School Fund matching grant may be used to employ a SRO. State superintendent is appointed, is no longer elected. That the Department of Child Services provides that an older youth who receives foster care is eligible to receive collaborative care services until the individual becomes 21 years of age. Teacher career ladders. There was changes to the requirements necessary for a school corporation to receive a grant from the teacher. The grant program and for student advanced grant program. It provides that charter schools may also receive these grants, and it repeals provisions related to the career pathways in the mentorship program. It also repeals provisions related to the Indiana New Educator Induction Pilot Program. And the Teacher Residency Grant Pilot Program law establishes two things: Teacher Residency Grant Pilot Program, and number 2, Teacher Residency Grant Pilot Program Fund. School safety equipment. That law now says that each school corporation shall develop and implement a Stop the Bleed program. Discipline of coaches is a new law, also requires that school districts must notify the Indiana High School Athletic Association, Department of Education. So the school district would report it to the Department of Education. The Department of Education then has to notify the Indiana High School Athletic Association of any license, revocation, or suspension involving a licensed teacher. Safe Schools is different. You may apply for a grant from the Indiana Secured School Fund to provide for the initial setup costs for an active event warning system. And if that is done, that has to be with the sheriff of the county that you're in. Information concerning threats to school safety. It permits a law enforcement agency to share private investigatory records with the school corporation for the purpose of enhancing the safety of a student or a school facility without losing the discretion to keep the records confidential. Also provides that a school corporation or other entity to which the education records privacy provisions of the Federal Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act apply may disclose or report on the education records of a child without the consent of the child's parent to appropriate officials in case of health and safety emergencies and determined by the school district. Education studies also is a new law. The interim study committee on, or actually it's not a new law, it's gonna be a 5-year study, which is gonna go to the interim study committee on education during 2019 through the 22nd, 2022. And there's gonna be 2 components of it. One, to eliminate, reduce, or streamline the number of education mandates placed on schools. And then that will also streamline fiscal and compliance reporting to the General Assembly on a sustainable and systematic basis. 2, it will also review the certain provisions related to the professional development of policies, reporting requirements, and curriculum requirements of schools. 52 laws, maybe we can get rid of some. That's just this 5 years, right? 5 years. Pre-kindergarten pilot program after June 30th, 2019, in addition to the counties currently participating in the pre-kindergarten pilot program, the program includes eligible providers in any county in Indiana. School bus safety law requires a school bus to be equipped with black reflective tape monitored on a certain areas of the school bus. Provides that if the school bus is in operation and transporting passengers, the driver of the school bus shall have the daytime running lights illuminated at all times. Also, if anybody who wants to commit a school bus stop arm infraction, the court may suspend the individual's driving privileges for up to 90 days. There's also fines attributed to that. And if you want cameras on stop arms, there is a grant available for that. School materials for juvenile detainees. If a child is or will be detained in a juvenile detention center for more than 7 calendar days, the school corporation must provide the facility with the school materials for the grade level that course that child's in. And we do that already.
We do, yes. We have a lot of collaboration back and forth with various agencies and make sure to get that right away.
So civics is a new law now, and it states that each high school shall administer their naturalization examination provided by the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. Requires an enhanced study of the Holocaust in each high school, United States history course. School administrative contracts, that has changed. If you provides that the governing body, the school board, may not pay to a principal or assistant principal to buy out a contract an amount that exceeds an amount equal to the principal or assistant principal's salary or administrative salary for any one of the year under the contract. Highlights. I didn't count them.
That's enough.
Okay, so next we'll move on to trustee Vasquez, PTF.
Yes, we had a meeting on June 11th, and it was a celebration of thanking all the board members and those individuals that made a toast to educators of success. We had discussions about whether or not to host the same event, which was called For Success. We also had discussions on how to improve communication. There's a new method called Slack, and so that's something that we do. A strategic plan will also be reviewed during the next coming months, and we also want to thank our board and our superintendent and the leadership team for contributing to that event.
If I may, I recently learned about Slack when I put myself in there. The very first organization that pulled up that might be someone that I would want to connect with was PTEF. So
I wasn't familiar with it, so when you're going to continue to discuss it.
it seems to be a way for organizations to connect through more of a social media type of framework, where you can just be connected in a more closed setting that's a professional setting.
So Slack must be an acronym.
It's gotta be, but I signed up probably last Friday, so I've got to investigate a little more. But several of my superintendent colleagues have been becoming a part of this, so I'm searching it now.
Mary's gonna go.
I
do.
Yeah, will do.
What is it exactly?
So it says that you can use it to bring team communication and collaboration into one place so you can get more work done, whether you belong to a large enterprise or small business. And it looks like you can use to-do lists, present projects, there's conversation tools. It's available on any device. You can do that on your phone. It actually pulled up, when I Googled it, it pulled up the app on there.
So what is Slack?
It doesn't say, it's just the name of the program. Yeah.
Kind of like Beach Jar.
Where do they come up with these names?
One more item that we discussed was payroll deduction. We only have probably 30 plus employees that participate in that. So we would like to see if we would have some superintendent support to encourage other staff to participate in that payroll deduction. Very simple way to donate, make a difference in the fund.
Thank you. Old business, Dr. Allen, do you have anything under old business? Either the imaging, the copiers, or the,
As a matter of fact, we had a meeting today, Mr. Lessig, Mr. Grun, and Attorney Elwood and I, they will be developing, well, they have developed, a 5-year plan as well as, the requirements to go for a request for quotes. And I will be getting that to the board along with the memo stating what the study is, how many have been removed from the network, the various pieces. And then our intent is, once that's been shared with you and you've had an opportunity to ask questions and receive feedback, that we would like to do that at our next meeting, to send out to get those quotes.
and reminder, the board has requests, how many do we own, where are they at?
Yes, and we have
How
all of that
are
as well.
they, what do we rent, what are ours?
Yes, and we have all of that gathered.
Maintenance agreement, yeah, okay, good. The charge.
Yes.
Okay. So next we'll move on, we'll have to have a motion to approve, the proposed addendum to the superintendent's contract.
Make motion to approve proposed addendum to the superintendent's contract.
I'll second.
And just so a little bit of information about this, this is, Dr. Alanes and past superintendents had always had a car allowance. She did not want the car allowance. We actually are back into use within PTS, and she did show us how it would be used. And so because she's not getting a car allowance, then this is she will be getting a stipend. So that's what this is for. We already had the public hearing. Any other questions? Call roll, please.
Trustee Clancy?
Yes.
Trustee Linwood?
Yes.
Trustee Vasquez, yes. Trustee Maleta?
Yes.
Yes. We'll move on to new business. I'll make a motion to approve the new logo, with the, stipulation that we do get a rollout plan and we do get a budget. Session. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Clancy?
Yes.
Trustee Linwood?
Yes.
Trustee Vasquez, yes. Trustee Maleta?
Yes.
Trustee Richard?
Yes. Next, we need a motion to approve the sub-teacher proposal.
Make a motion to teacher proposal.
Second.
Discussion. Do you want to explain?
Sure. This was in collaboration with the superintendents across Porter County. We have all come into some situations where we want to make sure we have qualified individuals who are our guest teachers in our various districts throughout the county, and we share substitute teachers throughout the county as well. So what we have done is we've looked at the requirements at the state level, and the state requires a minimum of a high school diploma, and so we are moving along with the state's requirements of a minimum of a high school diploma.
How will we go to market that?
We will make sure our students we have our interns this summer in Mrs. Lowey's program, and they will be marketing that. We'll also do a press release of that, sharing that expands the opportunities for a lot of our parents who are very engaged but didn't meet the minimum requirement of 60 credit hours. We have a lot of amazing parents who come in and will pop popcorn, will come in with our donuts with dads, divas, dudes, all of those things, and they want to be able to be involved in various other capacities and have expressed an interest in being a guest teacher, but without the 60 credit hours, couldn't take advantage of that. So again, some of our most engaged families that would like to at least minimally sub in their own child's school. So we have all decided that having that option is very appropriate, and then again, to market that appropriately to get the word out, and also what we pay each day.
What kind of evaluation process do you have for individuals?
We have currently developed the onboarding process at the interlocal level, and they are required to go to 7 trainings to be a guest teacher in any of our districts. They also have an application process as well as an interview process, and we do check references. As far as an actual evaluation yearly, we have not developed that, but that's something I would absolutely be willing to take back, and then I will bring back before you. I think that's a great idea. The onboarding was something of significance for us to make sure we have consistency across all of the districts, because we want to make sure our vetting process is substantial. So I will also take back to them, and even if we don't as a county, we can still decide to move forward with an evaluation tool.
Because I can see some items such as substitute, both teacher, guest teacher, follow the lesson plan, discipline issues.
Yeah.
And then that would go into the principal, and then the principal would put address on issues.
Yes.
Great idea.
We do have an individual feedback, and I know myself as a principal as well as in the classroom, you could at any time opt to complete one of those feedback forms that have those very things on them. The only thing is, what we've never done is require them in a way that even when the feedback is good, because of course when you get those, the feedback is that they may not have done those things. So we have our very loyal guest teachers who've been studying for us for years and years, and they also deserve to have that evaluation to show the good that they're doing.
It'll raise the bar, it'll raise the standards, if they
Right.
know what the criteria is that they have to
Yes.
meet, you might be
Right.
surprised how
I really like that.
it will
It's a
raise
really good idea.
Now, will the rate of pay be the same for this group? Because typically when you're talking about substitute teachers, depending on your certifications, the rate of pay is different.
The rate of pay will be different. We're going to come up with that structure. All of us felt most comfortable after all of our boards said, yes, you can adjust those requirements. Now we're going to develop that rate of pay. So it will be somewhat lower than,
If you have
Those-
60 hours.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and just the same, ours that are credentialed as educators already receive a higher rate of pay.
Gotcha.
So then we will, instead of having 2 tiers of pay, there will be 3, and I will bring that to you. Okay. Good question.
there's meeting practices out there in that evaluation.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
So can we put that under old business,
Yes.
then Mrs. Langren, so that it stays there until we have more information about it?
Great idea. So we need to call the roll.
Trustee Clancy?
Yes.
Trustee Philly?
Yes.
Trustee Vasquez, yes. Trustee Maleta?
Yes.
Trustee Richmond?
Yes. And we have to have approval of the bus purchase. Motion, please.
Motion to approve the bus purchase.
Discuss it.
These don't have to go out to bid
This
because
is,
it goes through the cooperative
this is
program.
with the state. This is the state bidding. We are following their bidding process.
Which is a lot better than.
Absolutely. Yes, as a matter of fact, as you know, the competitive pricing, when you're talking about all of these districts being a part of it, and the state with the leading practices saying, here's what you need to go with.
So it'd be nice to know what departments or divisions are doing this now, the state, are we all?
I believe this is an opt-in. You do not have to utilize this, but I can absolutely check.
Probably like the city has one, you can, like, you wanna buy a garbage truck, you can go through the state's program and just purchase it, or you can put it out to bid if you think you can.
No, I mean,
get the
what
price.
internal stakeholders are utilizing it, do they all have to utilize, that's what I want to know, the internal departments and who's Are they all being told to utilize this from finance? Is there a memo? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that they realize,
Yes,
yeah, okay, you know, the same thing with the copiers.
yes.
There's, school districts across the state of Indiana have a lot more buying power than
Absolutely.
Portage Township School.
Absolutely, and I do know that we've not officially sent out a memo, so I will still just make sure that that takes place, and then I think that's a good thing also to put in our manual for those leaders as, Mrs. Clark is developing that, so.
The new logo looks really good on these bus samples.
You're liking that, huh?
So, did we ever find out if we could put additional information on the buses, like for attendance and to do?
As a matter of fact, yes. We did find that out, and the answer, as the board was aware, yes, we can, and that's currently being developed. And this was the first trial that Mrs. Devers-Lowy and Mr. Ellis from Transportation said, let's have our go at this, because as you know, our SPVs have never had any swag logo to it. So they wanted to attempt it here, and then they are going to be having those various things to launch in the fall. And I mean, without hesitation, he was all about it, and specifically even quoted that you have mobile marketing on a fleet of 100 school buses every single day, multiple times a day.
On every street,
Yes.
Portage Township.
Yes.
So other districts are doing it, so there's no reason why and that's been, 3 years that we've had.
It has, so
So,
we are on it.
good.
Although now I'm glad we waited because we'll have the new logo.
And I know that was one of the programs that I brought up from the National School Board Association too, was their attendance program. They actually, put stuff on their buses to get kids to come to school. So and then also the attendance, we have like a logo. don't we?
Yeah.
So
So
will that,
today achieve tomorrow, and that's.
will that be way down there a little bit, or is that gonna
It will be freshened up.
freshen up? Okay. So call the roll, please.
Trustee Clancy?
Yes.
Trustee Finley?
Yes.
Trustee Vasquez, yes. Trustee Maleta?
Yes.
Yes. We'll need a motion for ratification of the ad tech agreement.
Make a motion to approve the ratification of the ad.
Sure. Ad tech, as you know, for filing E-rates, we are required to have a vendor that assists with that. And we have had much success with ad tech. They are very professional, very responsive, and do a really good job alongside with the team. So I'm recommending that we approve them to be used again as our vendor.
Yes. Vasquez, yes. Trustee Maleta?
Yes.
Yes. And I'll make a motion for the ratification of the online programs for 2019-2020 school year.
Second.
Explain that.
Yes, as you know, throughout the time of the leadership team, currently since my superintendency, we've worked really hard to streamline what programs we utilize throughout the district and their purpose. Are they being utilized for personalized instruction at the student's instructional level? Are they being utilized for personalized instruction at their independent work level? And then defining not only on our website, on our curriculum pages for our educators, but also for our parents, so that when these things come home on Study Island and we're saying you're gonna complete this number of minutes on Study Island, it's showing that gradual build of how that instruction unfolds. I've been very, very pleased with how the team comes together and analyzes the usage reports every year before bringing forth the recommendation to continue with those products, not only from school to school to determine, is this school needing more training? Is there a reason that they're not using this over another one? Is there a reason that this one's only being utilized 20 minutes a week? And if so, what's the rationale behind that? So again, this is that streamlined process, again, high reliability to make sure that the funds are being utilized well as the benefits for those programs are obviously benefiting our students and their achievement.
Trustee Clancy?
Yes.
Trustee Finley? Yes. Trustee Vasquez, yes. Trustee Maleta?
Yes.
Yes. Superintendent reports or updates,
Sure.
Dr. Evans?
I do have a few things for you. The STEM Champs Camp wrapped up last week, as was mentioned in the news report. I will tell you that the number of parents on social media and also phone calls we have received about the appreciation of not only that STEM Champs Camp, but all of our camps this summer has been huge. So again, that was something brought from the board at NSBA and various opportunities that I know Mrs. O'Frisco has shared about the enrichment camps and the importance of not just the remediation in the summer. Our students have really enjoyed it, parents have enjoyed it, we've got kids signed up. Again, we're starting our 5th camp next week, and there are various opportunities. They go for 4 days, an hour and a half a day. The kids enjoy them. So they're not only academic, some are very much in the area of the performing arts, visual arts, various things, and just inquiry-based opportunities for kids. And it's really been a great turnout, and we expect those to be even further next year as far as the various types of camps and how to best capitalize on students being a part of those. Also, just to share with you, summer meals, they are continuing throughout the district, as you're aware. Our food service department is actually working on an option that I'll be bringing to you for next year, having mobile sites for the meals. This is also going to be coupled with a few ideas of a mobile book bus that has been brought forth by the IT department and our Title I department, so that we can have meals and opportunities for students to read on those buses and just really engage with our students out in the neighborhood setting and at the various mobile home parks, so that we can take meals to kids as need. So just another great opportunity that the team continues to be forward thinking, and it's exciting. Our teachers and district leaders have been attending various professional development opportunities this summer. Last week, the Summer of E-Learning was hosted again at East Porter. We attended that. We've had participants sign up for the one that is hosted in Hammond. Those are free opportunities for our teachers and administrators, and it's been very well attended. Also, last week, our administrators and teachers attended social emotional learning opportunity for teachers and administrators. There was a day specifically toward district and building leaders, and then a second day that was directed towards teachers about the importance of relationships, and of course that being the first level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is having that connectedness and that safe environment. The District 1 Superintendent Study Council had provided that, so that's 4 counties coming together, and it was again very well attended, and Portage was very well represented there. The the summer learning series that we provide for our teachers, I believe this is going on the 4th or 5th year, and our principals will be August 8th and 9th, and that again will be 2 days of professional development from internal and external stakeholders. Apple always attends and does a great job with us, and we have various things. I will be sharing that agenda with you to see the various opportunities. This will be the first year that we actually have a support staff learning series. That will be August 12th, and that will be from various departments will be represented, and we'll make sure that we incorporate the feedback from the surveys from our support staff to include different behavioral techniques, instructional techniques when they're assisting in the classroom. They've also expressed an idea about wanting to develop how you make those connections through social emotional learning. They've asked for all sorts of really quality professional development. We're making sure to hit those needs. And again, I'll share that with you once those descriptions have been completely finalized. Summer projects are off to a great start. The Chiller project is currently ahead of schedule, and we will be ready for the fall with all of those updated. And again, thank you to the board for the opportunity to upgrade all of those and replace those. And our facilities, you will be noticing, are going to be spruced up for the fall, just, some coats of paint, new signage so that we don't have faded signs, just those little things that make a very large impact. We are going through with a very fine detail on what are those minimal things that really make a large impact on the facilities. And I'll also be bringing before the board a 5-year maintenance plan and the 2020 capital projects list. And this was just, again, an internal review of where are we with these various things to just give you another snapshot of what's to come. So a lot's going on, as you know, summer is always busy for us, and there's a lot of really good things going on. Students are engaged. We have our summer sports camps going on, which are also included in our Enrichment Camp flyers, and that has helped also with the number of attendees for that. So good things going on in the district.
I have a question. And it was my idea with the enrichment camps and to have those STEM camps, and it employs our teachers in the summer. And then I also asked Dr. Allen as if next year she could include preschool enrichment camps, because those are our students. Yes. And our future students. So will we have an evaluation for those since you sample?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, parents are going to be able to evaluate those programs and also give us feedback on the success of those programs, as well as what they would like to see in the future based on their child's interest, or various ways that they can also become involved. We have a lot of community members who have been interested in coming in to do small presentations. Again, talking about the ambassador program with engaging in those businesses that are willing to do the various things for us. For instance, when we went to that Aurora school, and how we can have Indiana American Water come in, do those presentations. I think there's just such great opportunities. But yes, we have an evaluation tool, and the parents can complete that online. Yes.
Will the teachers have some kind of reading post so that they can show it, just even if it's like whatever area?
I think that's something we can look into for next year. With this year, for instance, I think that would give them a little more time based on the first year that they've done this. For instance, the one that was an outdoors arts opportunity, and it was sidewalk chalk drawing. So, what would that look like? What would they like to measure in that week's time? Is it just a matter of collaboration? It very well could be, So, and maybe we look at that based on our pledge. What's one of the things from the pledge that they plan to monitor and evaluate?
So do we have subs then too for the summer program, for the enrichment program?
You know what? Because what happened was our teachers picked their own availability.
Yes.
So based on their own availability, they have committed to those 4 days, an hour and a half each day. So we have had.
But in an emergency, that's what I'm
But
saying.
if
So
an
what would
emergency,
happen?
yes, in an emergency, we absolutely would access who we would utilize for our summer school subs. Yes.
So how would somebody like me as a grandmother who wanted to sign up a preschooler know about this program?
There have
Does
been,
it do Facebook?
so we have done the press releases, and we're going to continue to do that. We have utilized School Messenger, and we've actually even talked about asking the city to do another messenger for us, because as you said, there very well may be grandparents who have the students for the day over the summer, and they could also get that community all call. As you said, electronically that becomes a sticking point. So that's why we've also utilized School Messenger and press releases. And we'll continue to do that. Yes.
And that word of mouth is still powerful.
It is.
It is.
It is. And there's been a lot out in the
Mhm.
community about that.
Mhm.
Moving forward though, I think maybe a note to make for next year is at the soccer fields, Imagination Glen, Portage Junior Miss, the Little League
Yes.
field, have some sort of flyer at those concession stands.
Starbucks,
Yeah.
YMCA Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
Places.
Now, the Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, they have been promoting these heavily for us.
Is it flyers?
We have not printed any flyers, but maybe that's something we'll do to target the second half of the enrichment camps this summer.
And they're on the sign.
Good things to think about.
Does anybody on the board have anything under other?
I did want to share something. Something we did through the city, we put together for the GDC in the city, a workforce development and kind of a roundtable. We invited some of the business leaders from various businesses and different walks of life here in the city. Got about 15 people together, and I just want to thank Dr. Stevens came and represented Portage Township Schools there. We also had Aso Sikowski from Ivy Tech, as well as really had a great discussion about workforce development. That discussion really came back to the event, when you look for where are we gonna find workforce and have a ready workforce for these businesses that are coming in or that are currently here. And some of them that were at this meeting are those that are like, we really struggle with workforce. And it came back to every time we have a high school full of kids that could be ready. And I thought we really had good discussion. I don't know what Dr. Stevens had a chance to share with you what we talked about. But one of the things that really struck me was that, we've got a couple of companies, manufacturers, when it was brought up about the success of our robotics program, they didn't know about it. Because they don't live, we've got a president of a company here who doesn't live in Portage, so he doesn't get these communications. He drives into work or whatever it is. But it was really eye-opening to them of the success that we're having in our schools. So I think just as a compliment, we need to continue to do that. We need to continue to share with that business community, especially those type of things. When we get kids that participate in that business, whatever it is,
Yes.
America program, we really got to find a way to get that out, not just to parents and our residents, but we got to get it out to some of these manufacturers and these businesses. I think it's important for them to know that this is a place where they can draw and find those kids. I'll go to my grave, and it's something that since I took that job at the Portage EDC, it's been a passion of mine is to take these kids that they're not all going to college, and we've got good jobs here for them.
Right.
And how do we make those connections between these kids and these businesses and the schools? And Portage Schools is way above all the other schools right now, honestly. I talk to them, other communities are asking us, hey, how do we do this 360 thing? What are you guys doing? Other schools are not doing what we're doing, so it's a compliment that this school system's embraced that. But we really need to really ramp it up. It's an available, ready workforce. That's the future, and it's a great future for our kids. And we just got to make sure we have good connections with this business community.
So one thing that we did this year based on the mailing list of the Portage GPC is Melissa sends them our newsletter. However, based on what you're saying, that tells me when we send it to them, it doesn't need to be the whole newsletter. It needs to be those 4 highlights of Business Professionals of America, what the robotics are doing, what other competitions our kids have been involved in and
Trades, talk about
accolades.
They're not gonna read through.
Right, they're not gonna read that whole
No.
newsletter. So if we give them those 4 main points that tell them, hey, be ready, because our kids are gonna be entering the workforce or can be working for you now because of these 4 things that are going on in the district. Maybe
And the
that
other
would be a
thing-
better way
Yeah,
to
and the other
target
thing
them.
that came out, and a lot of them talked about, and I've heard this from others before too, they would love to have an opportunity to come into a classroom and talk to the kids about their company, the types of jobs and the training that
Right.
you need. It's kind of a little bit of what Junior Achievement does
Yes,
as a program, but I think there's an opportunity for those. So maybe in some of those flyers, that could be something, hey, are you,
Signing
you'd
up.
be interested in
available.
speaking to Portage students? I think that'd really be a cool thing. And I know the trade unions, especially right now, they are begging for apprenticeships. I mean, they really are. And I think those are great opportunities for our kids. And they also talk a lot about those soft skills and why they really struggle right now. They have a hard time finding people coming in off the street that can pass a drug test, or they could show up on time and do an interview.
Yes.
I mean, they used to get, when they would announce that they have an apprenticeship availability, they would get hundreds of applicants. They're getting like 25, 30 now. So I just think it's just a great opportunity for our kids, those that don't know the path that they want to take. They don't necessarily want to go to college, or they can't afford to go to college for whatever reason. There are these opportunities there, and I think we just need to continue to exploit that in any way because communication.
I think it's important with soft skills that our students are aware of the fact that when they come out and they want to be employed, that their life, businesses are not going to rearrange and schedule for their life. Birthdays are not important to businesses. The fact that, you have other things going on in your life, you can't show up for this shift or you don't want to work that shift. That's not important to businesses. And it is to the younger generation, so much so that it's tough. It's really tough. They think that you need to reschedule them around their life. And that's the way I look at it today. And when I train, I said, no, we can't.
give you a great example of that. So in one of our 360s, we take the kids, they get to go to visit the HR department. And they talk about, the type of things, talk about some stuff. And one of them, they ask the kids, how many of you have missed more than 6 days of school so far this year? And every kid raises their hand almost, almost everyone. And then they look at it and say, well, you would be fired from your job. And you're fine, because when you don't show up to school, you're just missing out on learning. When you don't show up to your job, you think you can just stay home. Somebody has to fill that role, because the work has to continue on, right? And they explain it to kids, it's really eye-opening to the kids, because you see looking at each other. We just all got fired,
Right.
because they don't show up. So those are really important. It's a different generation right now.
Their life is more important than the job. It seems to me.
So we have a lot of opportunities with workforce with our kids.
And I know the perfect solution is our marketing. Once we get these companies as ambassadors or CEOs, whoever we're gonna have, get the group of them together, have them tell you what they need, what they wanna see, what bullets they want, what the name of whatever you're gonna hand out as a peach jar, what the name should be so that it would trigger others to read it. What do they want from us? You know what I'm saying? They'll know, they'll have the answers. Definitely have the answers. So it's another reason why you just say, but we need to have them as our ambassadors, because they have great input. Hire our students.
Yes.
Anybody else have anything? No? This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.